Hello, welcome to a Paper Flourish craft video. My name is Julie. Today I'm going to make some Christmas cards and I'm going to use these gorgeous visible image Christmas stamps which have just recently been released. So I've chosen Shining Star, Christmas Wishes and the Grunge Christmas Words. I'm going to start by kind of doing a masterboard, I guess. This is a quick way to make 4 cards all at once. I have some A4 pieces of Lavinia white multifarious cardstock. I'm just going to use one to start. And I'm going to begin by blending 4 different colours of Distress Oxide. Now I've gone with the yellow tones, so I've got Scattered Straw, Squeezed Lemonade, Mustard Seed and Fossilized Amber. And all I'm going to do is take each ink, I'm using the Tim Holtz Dome blenders, and I'm just going to blend these 4 colours over, sort of patches of them, over the cardstock. The next colour I'm going to do is Squeezed Lemonade, a little bit brighter yellow. And again, I'm just going to do some random patches of the colours. Where the colours overlap, just blend them in together. Don't be too worried about getting it all neat and perfect. It's not going to matter in the long run. Mustard Seed, much darker yellow colour coming in now. So I'm just playing around with the different tones of yellow in the oxides. The last colour I'm going to add is Fossilized Amber. Now this is going to bring in a slight sort of almost orangey yellow tone. So all 4 colours are on there now. What I like to do then is go back in with the lightest colour, which is Scattered Straw, and blend completely over the top of all the colours. And it just seems to help bring them all together. With the Crushed Olive Distress Oxide, which I guess is a bit of a yellowy green colour, I'm going to smush this onto the mat, spray it with my water bottle, enough that I can pick it up with a fan brush and tap it onto, so it needs to be wet enough that you can tap it on. I'm using a Lavinia fan brush and I'm going to add heaps of these little spots. They're going to be like coloured bleach spots. I usually leave that for about 30 seconds just to let the sort of magic happen there with the oxide and the water. And the crushed olive, I'm just going to remove that excess moisture. Bring it away and we're left with this fantastic coloured bleaching. Looks really cool, doesn't it? I'm going to dry that completely with a heat tool. Tim Holtz recently released, I think it was 12 colours of Distress Embossing Glaze, new ones. And of course these match the oxides and the ink colours, which is great. He released some brilliant colours. I've got a few of them here. Squeezed Lemonade, Crushed Olive. What have I got here? Mowed Lawn, Bundled Sage, and this is Aged Mahogany. Great colour. Love this. Peacock Feathers and Mermaid Lagoon. Now, these are going to be a little bit strong for the background. The ones I've chosen to maybe use are the Crushed Olive and the Squeezed Lemonade. Of course, both those colours have been used here in the background. I think I'm going to go with Crushed Olive. Now, the beauty of these is that they give you that lovely embossed look, but they're transparent. So what's underneath, you can still see through the glaze, which is really, really cool. So I think I'm going to go with that Crushed Olive. Now, if I have a look on the Shining Star stamp set, there are a couple of little background stamps as well, which can be used. And before I do the embossing glaze, I'm actually going to stamp these background stamps onto, just randomly onto the background. And I'm going to use, there's these gorgeous little, the word star, I really love that. And there's also this lovely little collection of stars. Now I'm going to stamp them randomly, so I'll just grab those 2 stamps. Visible Image always do that with their stamp sets. You get these extra background stamps that you can use as well, which is really cool. Now I've picked up a few colours here of Versafine Clair, which I thought might go. I think I might leave the orangey one, but that might be a little bit pale. Might go with Golden Meadow and a little bit of Shady Lane. So I have a Lavinia acrylic board. Let's start with the word star and Golden Meadow. All I'm going to do is ink that up and just randomly stamp it across the background. The collection of stamps, I'm going to stamp in Shady Lane, Versafine Clair, and again, I'm just going to go randomly on the page. All right, the background's starting to take shape. There's quite a bit of stamping, but I'm actually going to make 4 cards out of this. So you think you're only going to end up seeing part of that on each card. Now, the Grunge Christmas words. This is where I'm going to use the Distress Embossing Glaze, Crushed Olive. And I'm going to stamp this stamp randomly also on the page. And it's going to take a little bit of time. I'll show you what I'm doing, then I'll go ahead and stamp them all, because I find the easiest way to do this is to stamp each one separately. Now because I'm going to be stamping some of these partly on, partly off the page, I'm just going to put a spare piece of paper, scrap paper, on my Couture Creation stamp press, and using the magnets to hold in place the stamp, I'm going to position it. Now at the moment it doesn't have any ink on it. Because I'm going to be stamping this quite a few times, I have a piece of acetate. So if this stamp was inky, I would place the acetate down, position the stamp in place, just like that. Bring it over, pick it up, and then take the acetate away. So it's protected the masterboard, I guess, while I've been just positioning it. I'm using a Versamark embossing ink pad, and I'm going to ink up the whole stamp. I have my pink fresh stamp press tool. That'll give it a really great even press over the stamp. Now I need to work fairly quickly here. Take that away. The image the ink is there on there. Just pop that to the side. Bring in a scrap piece of paper which I've folded in half. Here's the embossing glaze, Crushed Olive, and I'm going to cover that area with this gorgeous embossing glaze. See it there? The words are distressed on this stamp. You can see them. That's going to look fantastic when this is heated. So I'll go ahead now and heat this up and show you the finished result. So that has now, I've heated it with my heat tool, so you can see it's all still quite transparent. But you can still see that star word coming through. It hasn't covered it up. And also the stars here, you can still see them, but it's added that lovely image. And see the shine on it? Looks really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that stamp randomly on the masterboard. And again, I'll show you the finished product. Now, one thing I didn't do before I started, and I should have, my anti-static pad. It's a really good idea before you do any embossing, always to rub that over the surface. And of course that helps stop the embossing powder sticking to where you don't want it to. All embossed. It's pretty cool, doesn't it? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is chop this up. So I want to make 4 card fronts out of this, and I want each piece to measure 3 7/8 inch. It's a bit of a random measurement, but it ends up being a card which will fit in a standard size envelope. So 3 7/8 inch across. This one's a little bit too wide, so I need to trim that down. And then top to bottom, I want this to measure 5 1/2 inches. So for backgrounds, I've actually already put those onto the cards. Now the black matte underneath I cut at 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/4. And then the card base, I cut a piece of white cardstock 8 3/4 inches by 6 and fold it in half. So the backgrounds are done. Popping those aside for a minute, I now want to work on the decorations that are going to go on the front of the card. And this is where I'm going to come back to the Shining Star stamp set. Now, I'm going to do another, I guess, masterboard. And this I find the easiest way, rather than inking up every piece of cardstock. I'm going to do them all at once. And this is to stamp the star onto. Crushed olive, what I'm going to do is pick up all of the colours that I've used on that background when I blended it. So the crushed olive was used with the fan brush. This is scattered straw, I think it was, scattered straw. And I'm just smushing colour onto my mat. Picking up each of those colours, fossilized amber. I just want a whole lot of colour sitting here. Squeeze lemonade, and I'll do the same with mustard seed. Now there's a lot of colour on that. I probably went a bit overboard. I may not need all of that, but we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and spray. You can see that oxidize happen there. This is something you can do with your Distress Oxides. Your Lavinia Elements ink pads work like this as well. They react with the water. Okay. Looks pretty good. I think I've got it all. I'm just going to get my A4 sheet over there and start to press it onto this colour. Move it around, pick up colour. Have a look at that. So you're going to end up with a bit of everything on there. Now what I'm going to do is dry this completely, and then I'm going to smush it again. I want to smush it twice. So I've smushed that twice, drying in between, and this is completely dry now as well. But you can see it's got lots of variations of the yellows and the green in there. Now this star stamp, what I want to do is I want to stamp 4 of the stars onto here. Probably with an A4 you'll be able to get more of them out of that, so you can always make more cards as well. And I'm going to stamp with Versafine Clair black ink. Now it could just be stamped on the ink and with the ink and left, and I'll do one like that. I'm also going to do some where I'm going to emboss them with, and I'll find it in a minute, my clear embossing glaze, Superfine Clear, the Ranger. Here's the first star that I've stamped. Now this one I've just stamped in the Versafine Clair Nocturne. I reckon it looks pretty good. The next one I'm going to do, I am going to emboss with the clear embossing powder, and I'll show you them both so you can see the difference. Now I am still stamping with Versafine Clair Nocturne. I still want that black image. I did remember to go over with my anti-static pad first up on the cardstock. Okay, now working quickly to get that embossing powder on before the ink dries. Clear embossing powder all over the top. This is your Ranger Superfine Clear. Shake it off. So you can see it's made it sort of a little bit cloudy, the image. I'll heat that with my heat tool, emboss it, and you'll be able to see that beautiful clear image come back. So here are the 2 stamps. So this is the one stamped just with the Versafine Clair on its own, and this is the one that has the clear embossing powder. You can see it's got that shine now, that shiny clear image. They are both going to work really well on the cards. I'm going to do another 2. I'll do another one just with the black ink and another embossed one, because I need 4 for my 4 cards. So here are the 4 stars. Now I've gone ahead and fussy cut them out. I've gone right around the edge of each star. So they're all ready to go on the cards. I'm in the middle of stamping some sentiments, and I've got a visitor here. Murphy's popped up to say hello. He's sitting on my lap. And I'm using this fantastic stamp. Again, this is one of the new stamps that came out, Christmas Wishes, and it's got lots of different Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, all these different sayings on there. I'm using 2 of them. I've picked Merry Christmas and With Love at Christmas. They are just brilliant, not only for the front of your cards, you can use these for the insides of your cards as well. Now, when I'm stamping a sentiment, this is just my method. I find the easiest way to do it is I measure the stamp, cut a piece of cardstock that's just a little bit bigger than the stamp sentiment, and then stamp it on. Because I must admit, when I have to cut it out, if it's already stamped and then I have to cut it out, I never seem to get it straight. These sentiments, if I put them on the card just like that, they're going to really stand out. It's going to be a little bit too white. So I've got Fossilized Amber. I'm going to add a little bit of colour around the edge. You could use any of the colours that I used in the making up the stars and also the original backgrounds, but just adds a little bit of colour onto there. And I might even go in with a little bit of crushed olive, bit of green on there, so a mixture of colours, and that'll help it all blend in together when they're on the card front. So I'll go ahead and do all 4 of those. I just wanted to show you, I'm trying to put mounting tape underneath the stars. I'm using the Couture mounting tape roll, and someone's having a lovely time trying to play with the end of this, aren't you, Mr. Murph? Here we go. I'm using the Couture squares here. They work really well, but it's also what I could reach with Murphy on my lap. You could use your mounting tape roll, the strips as well. All right, I'll just go ahead and finish putting these on the back, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put the cards together. 3 cards done, and on the 4th one, I've taken the backs off the mounting tape and sticking this in place. Same, the Merry Christmas sentiment. 4 Christmas cards. And I think they look pretty cool. They are a different type of Christmas card. They're more like a mixed media one, a little bit more modern. So something really, really different, easy to make. 4 cards just like that. Now, I have been having a play the last couple of days with one of the other visible image stamp sets, if I can find it here. There it is. Christmas Tree Grunge, I think it's called. Let's take that price tag off. Yep, Christmas Tree Grunge. And this time I was using the greens, exactly the same process that I've shown you today in the video. But don't they look lovely in the greens as well? Same idea. I haven't finished the last 2 yet, but there's the backgrounds and the sentiments all ready to roll. The colours I've used here, I can let you know, the Oxide, reaching across, were Bundled Sage. I used Mowed Lawn. That was one of the darker ones. I used Shabby Shutters, Cracked Pistachio as well. When I went to do the bleach spots, I used Lucky Clover. I used a little bit of a darker green for those. And then when I did the Distress Embossing Glaze, the background, I used Bundled Sage, one of the new colours. The ink pads I've used to stamp as well in the background, I used Versafine Clair, not Green Oasis, pardon me. It was Verdant for the word tree and Rainforest for these cute little stars and circles. So, but apart from that, I've used the exact same process. Thank you so much for watching today, everyone. I hope this gives you a start on your Christmas cards, because here we are now in August. It's definitely time to start moving on them. But a quick way to make 4 cards just like that. Enjoy. Have a great day. Thank you. I'll be back soon with more videos. Bye.